Hey, I'm Ian from Sacred Hearth Friction Fire. Today I'm just out and about looking for nettles to collect and prepare for Nettle Cordage. I've come across a big batch of nettles and I'm especially interested in this batch. We've got some nice tall nettles, taller than me, and they've got nice thick stems at the bottom. So I'm going to collect a few of these, not too many. So you're going to cut them from the bottom. Don't pull them up by roots because nettles propagate from the roots and it disturbs the soil. So just want to cut them from the bottom. As you can see, I'm wearing gloves because I'm very allergic to nettles. So I prefer not to get stung. I will get a few stings, but I don't want to get loads. Some people become mean to them, but I prefer to wear gloves. This time I'm using a stone knife, but we can use secateurs. So cut that using a stone knife. I'm not going to cut them all using a stone knife, but it just proves that stone flint is a good cutting tool. So once you cut the nettles, next thing we need to do is strip leaves. So this is where gloves come in handy. You just run your hands up and down the nettle stem. So I've now got a bunch of nettle stalks which I've trimmed off. Another thing that I need to say is that really you don't want too many side shoots on your nettles, so try to pick nettles with as few side stalks as possible. So now I'm going to take these back home for the next stage. Okay, so stage 2 is removing the outer layer of the nettle. So for cordage, you're making it out of nettle fibres. You've got a bit of a tree and you want a good old quite heavy stick. What you're going to do is firmly rolling the stick on the nettle. Well, you want to be careful not to bash the fibres too much. So this is going to allow you to split the nettle basically into two. With the older, bigger nettles, it's a little bit trickier than when they're younger. So when nettles are younger, they are easy to do this, but the fibres aren't as strong. So, right, I managed to split it. What I'm going to do now I've got a split, I'm going to run my finger all the way along. So you can see I've got a split nettle. So now what I need to do is take the outer off from the inner. So to do that, I'm going to bend it so the inner comes out like that. And then I'm going to peel away outer fibres from the inner. So I'm trying to carefully so as not to damage your fibres too much. Because of the way nettles grow and the way fibres grow, you know, you're not going to get a whole perfect outer fibre off. You might be able to if you do it carefully, but don't worry too much if you can't. So there's the outer fibre, that's the inner. Now you can keep the inner and dry it off and use that for kindling for tinder. Once dry, burns really well, so don't throw it away, just keep them and dry them off. So then you want to peel the fibres away from the next part. So if your nettles had shoots coming off, that's where it gets a little bit trickier to peel off. You've got to be really gentle to peel them off. And at the joins or joints, yeah, just go carefully. And they'll get to a point where even you can't go away up. That's fine. Just take the nettle up as far as you can, and then we have the outer nettles. There's usually 4 separate strands. So what you want to do is split those off. Again, being careful not to damage your nettle fibres too much. So that's 1. 2. Okay, so now I've got 4 separate fibres on nettle. So can't use these yet. What we need to do now is try them off. So you just keep repeating that for your nettles, and the advantage of using longer nettles is you get longer fibres, so that when it comes to the time of making your nettles, you're not having to tie in as much, and they're stronger as well. Later in the year, they are tougher, it can be more difficult to remove the outer fibres, but they are stronger than, say, if you collect the nettles in spring. So in spring the nettles aren't as tall, but it's a lot easier to process nettles in spring. Now, if you leave nettles later to like September, it gets a lot more difficult, and then you may be better off doing retting, which is a different process altogether. But I don't do retting. I prefer this way of doing my nettles. And you know, with friction fire, especially in ritual, it's all about preparation. So let's get processing more. Okay, so I've now processed all the nettles I collected this morning. That's all the inners of the nettles, which I will dry out, so that's be good for kindling. Tinder burns really well once dry, and then all the nettle fibres are hanging to dry. So the longer you dry them for, the better. I'll dry these quite a few days before I make some cordage, but once dry, the fibres keep for years, as long as you keep them dry. The other thing you'll find with nettles is that some are easier to strip than others, and younger nettles are definitely easier to strip than the older nettles. And you may decide not to split them into 4 like I did at the start. Made for to try them and then split them. Yeah, I'm sure you'll find your own technique in doing them. But yeah, let's leave these to dry for a week or so, and then I'll demonstrate how to make nettle cordage.